Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of One Sober to Another. I'm Wayne, and in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about how the big book can help you understand more about yourself and about your alcoholism. You can even apply it to your addiction, but there's other sources for that through Narcotics Anonymous. Let's get after it. First, before we start, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss another video, as well as thank you to those who have already subscribed. You're helping us grow stronger and bigger than ever, and hopefully something comes out of this that you can appreciate. Book. Why are so many people afraid of this big book? It is literally a big book. I've had mine for quite some time. I've had it since 2011, I think. And in 2014, I went to rehab. I used the bejesus out of this. Now, you might not be an AA'er. You might not agree with some of the methods of Alcoholics Anonymous, which simply are alcoholics helping alcoholics. And you may not think that just talking to another group of people who experience the same thing you have can be your solution. And that's okay. You don't have to believe that necessarily. Some folks have treated alcoholism with medications. Some folks have treated it with meditation and things like that. All of these are helpful, and each person has their own method of dealing with their alcoholism. But what I found for me is Alcoholics Anonymous has been one of the main resources that has brought me to sobriety. So there are two things I want to read in this big book quickly so that you can just kind of digest them. And then perhaps if you want to leave a comment below, then you can help somebody else maybe understand the situation that you're in, and perhaps your experience can help them as well. So what I'm going to read is something, just a paragraph out of Chapter 2, The Solution, as well as the preamble to Alcoholics Anonymous, how it works. The action phase of actually the alcoholic having to do certain things in order to start to achieve their sobriety. So I'm going to read for a moment. Don't be distracted. Sometimes I'm a little faulty, but I'll try to make it quick. So, Alcoholics Anonymous, Chapter 2, There is a Solution. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. And Bill is one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, along with Dr. Bob. You can read more about them in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, or I'll just drop a link below and you can read there as well. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. We are average Americans, all sections of this country, and in this case nowadays global. And many of its occupants are represented here, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great liner the moment after a rescue from a shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to the captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy and escape from disaster does not subside as we go on in our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. But that in and of itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. So, with that being said, what I take away from that is that we become binded by our common alcoholism. We have the same problem and we're going through similar struggles. We're happy and excited during that period of time when we are with each other and we are able to discuss these things openly, honestly, and be willing to accept other people's opinions, feedback, criticism, as well as give it back to them. But what happens when we go our separate ways? What happens when we leave that room? What happens when we leave the group? Well, you can't stop there. You can't stop your meditation. You can't stop your life lessons and your daily, you could call it daily reflections of why are you sober? What is going to keep you from drinking? And how do you do that without the constant feedback and motivation from people within that group that you were just at, and now you're at home sitting by yourself dealing with the problems that are at your table? Just something to think about. And this big book actually breaks it down. Now, you don't have to agree completely with Alcoholics Anonymous, but I will say that in every chapter of this book, there's something to be taken away. It's really up to you how you want to digest that, and I'd be interested to know what you think about the big book in the comments below. I'm going to take a moment and I'm just going to read the preamble to Alcoholics Anonymous, and there's another one that I would like to read, but I'm going to save that for a later video, is the promises. So with that being said, you can look it up on your own. I have a link to the big book in the description, but for now I'm just going to read the preamble. How it works. This is chapter 5 in the big book. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot and will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of life which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these, we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. I'll let you read into the line. That one is God, but you can omit the word God. It doesn't necessarily have to be God for you. It could be somebody, it could be something just outside of yourself that you are able to put your faith into. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. You can replace him with whatever you want. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him or her to be, could restore us to sanity. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. That's step 4. Look deep inside. Step 5. Admitted to God, or to whichever you want to replace that word with, to ourselves and to another human being, the exact natures of our wrong. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons who have harmed us and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand Him, praying only knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with that." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C. That God could and would if He were sought. That's a lot to digest. You can take God out of the equation if that's your thing. If you don't necessarily believe in God, that's okay. These are steps that are suggested for you to achieve sobriety. There are a few folks around the globe who would not agree with that, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be for you. It doesn't have to be for everybody. But for me, those steps have worked. In step 4, when you're conducting a moral inventory, you have to be able to look inward and discover you're wrong in some of the things, for me, most of the things that happened in my life where I reached out to blame other people, or a certain factor played key roles into my alcoholism and the way that it developed, and I had to become aware of what those things were and how to start moving forward to fix them, because I used to believe that everything was everybody else's fault, and I know that not to be true. And when I conducted the moral inventory, which is very hard, by the way, it's not an easy thing to do, I was able to outline that and see it on paper that I was a primary factor in a lot of the things that went sideways. In step 8, I made a list of all the people that I had harmed, and became willing to make amends. Now, there are some folks that they may have trespassed you to the point where you are unwilling to forgive them, or not able to. It's healthy to find a way to do that, but it's not always going to happen. And that's where step 9 comes into, where you can make direct amends to somebody, but if it's at a detriment to them, or it's going to hurt yourself or other people, then it might not be something you want to adventure in. Such as you cheated on your wife 9 times with a hooker and gave her an STD, might not be the best thing to bring up if it's already under the table. You may not want to revisit those kinds of things because it's going to cause more harm than good. Now, that's not saying hide or lie. That's just saying that not everything is immediately solvable. And that's where, you can develop through the rest of the steps. Now, in step 12, where it said I had have a spiritual awakening and carry this message out, that's what I do here through this channel. And I just wanted to share those things with you this morning as I sat here and I I was actually looking at my daily reflections, but then I saw my big book sitting on the side, and I decided to thumb through it a little bit, and I felt that that might be helpful for some of you. And um, I hope you all are doing well today. I hope that you wake up, you enjoy the sunshine. If you're headed to work, take your time, don't be in a rush. You never know what the person in front of you or behind you is going through today, so don't get too agitated if they pump the brakes, or if somebody is riding on your tailgate into work. Be patient. I hope you all have a happy, sober day, and I will definitely see you tomorrow when I do the live stream. Damaged but not broken. Haven't taken the opportunity to hit that like button, go ahead and do that now, because I could really use your support to keep this channel driving. We need to reach out to those still suffering, and there's a lot of feedback that I'm getting. It's not necessarily through here. I'd like to see it through here, but that's cool. You know, it's whatever. This channel is for you, it's not for me. If you haven't been on streamlabs.com, check it out. It has a wide variety of streaming elements and streaming devices and tools that you can use to stream your next live video. And it also has cool merchandise on there from me, one sober to another. You can also click the link below to get a hand on your mug that I was holding yesterday and rock the t-shirt that I'm going to be rocking tomorrow. What else? You have a great day. Stay sober, stay safe. If you're not sober, DM me, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, all at one sober to another, and I will answer any of your questions. And have a great day.